Hi guys, welcome to Multiverse. Today we are going to take a look at our friend Captain America, but with the various chroma materials. I've already made a couple of videos with Captain America. If you search through my videos, you should be able to see them. If you're looking for the classic version of the costume, or even some of the alternate version of Captain America, just search my videos for Captain America, you should be able to find it. But here I wanted to take specifically a look at Captain America with the new materials, the new chroma materials. When Bucky became Captain America for a short while, there was this redesign by Alex Ross, if I'm not mistaken, where the Captain America had a blue, almost a blue metallic effect added to the costume. We'll take a look at that costume in just a minute, but as you can see, it also works well enough for the classic version of the character. There was also a version of Captain America in the mid-90s that had some sort of blue metallic armor. I guess it can be reminiscent of that a little bit, although mainly I was curious to see what the material would look like on the shield. Sadly, I had to leave the shield without the material, and I will show you why in just a minute. So here, as you can see, we can create a pretty darn good version of our friend Captain America using the various materials. And just for fun, I'm using the back piece, the Wonder Woman shield and the back piece. Sadly, if I could have the shield that the character uses in the back, that's what I would use, but not an option at this point. Sadly, as I often mention, in DC Universe Online, sometimes you have to improvise, or you have to settle for not quite exactly. You have to make compromises in order to get the look of your character sometimes. Like the same here, like for the boots, sadly I could not get the boots completely red. I had to again compromise and have a black edge around the edge of the boots. It's sad, but it happens. So what do you need to recreate this awesome looking look for Captain America? Let's take a look. So for materials, I'm using some blue chroma materials and some red chroma materials, more specifically the blue metallic chroma 1, blue metallic chroma 2, and red metallic chroma 1. For the headpiece, I'm using the Speedster Call. Once you got the Speedster Call, it gives us an awesome headpiece in order to be able to create not only the Flash, but in a roundabout ways, our friend Captain America. For the shoulders, I'm using the Spindrift shoulders. I love those little shoulders. Normally, Captain America doesn't have those shoulders, so if you want to create a more classic look for the character, just remove the shoulders. But there's a few times in the history of Marvel, although sometimes it might have been in the Ultimate Universe, but even in the regular universe, pretty sure at some point he had the Star Emblem also on his shoulders, as well as on the front piece, the chest piece. But if you want the character to be more classic, just remove the shoulders. For the back piece, I thought having a shield on his back would be a nice touch, so I went with the ancient Amazon Noble back piece. The chest piece, I just went with the slimline chest piece, works well enough. And for the gloves, the slimline fin gloves worked well enough again. For the belt, the square buckle belt is a good choice. At some point, they've added a bunch of pouches to Captain America's belt. You have to wonder why, because the idea was that how does he carry stuff if he doesn't have pouches in his belt? But once they've added pouches to the design, I can't recall a single time in any comic where Captain America even used the pouches on his belt. The same with Batman. Basically, there was the storyline with Batman during at the very start of No Man's Land, I think, where they made a point where Batman finds a clue. Somehow he doesn't have anywhere to put the clue, as if they forgot that he could put it in his belt all along. And so they had Batman pretty much exchange his utility belt for a belt with a whole bunch of pouches, and that is the one time, like forever, that he actually used that belt, as far as I can recall. For the pants, I went with the V-suit pants, and the boots are the clean cuffed boots. So if you want to have a somewhat classic version of your friend Captain America, but with the chroma material, this is a good option. And this is somewhat the version that Alex Ross designed when Bucky was Captain America for a short while. It's not exactly it, but within the context of DC Universe Online, this is about as close as I was able to get to the look of our friend Bucky while he was Captain America. Again, I could not put the material on the shield, and I could not put the material on the boots as well. I'm not going to look at everything, like the headpiece is the same, the shoulders are the same. I'm just going to take a look at the items that are different in this version of the costume. For the material, I went with red metallic chroma 1, blue metallic chroma 2, and blue metallic chroma 3. The 3 is how I got all the blue, the dark blue or black on most of the costume. For the chest piece, I went with the chevron slimline. It was the closest I could come up with that will look like our friend, what Bucky had at the time. For the hands, I went with the Ironaut hands, although there's at least a handful of hands I could have used, but these are the ones I used right now. And for the waist, I went with the Absolute Zero waist. Sadly, for the Absolute Zero waist, you have to get it during the winter seasonal. So if you don't have the waist already on your character, you're gonna have to wait until next Christmas when the winter seasonal comes back in order to be able to get that waist style. And I forgot to mention the emblem with the previous version of Captain America. So the emblem is the Commander Steel emblem. Normally I would have tried to go with the enhanced version, but somehow it didn't quite work out. And the Commander Steel emblem is one of the things that allow us to have to be able to have a nice Captain America looking shield. We could probably use the star emblem, but it wouldn't be quite the same. The Commander Steel emblem actually adds a few rings to the shield, if it makes any sense. And originally I thought I could use I was curious to see how the shield would react to the new Chroma material. Sadly, if I try to use the materials on the shield, this is what happens. It somehow influences the emblem as well, so it kind of ruins the look a bit. If I could keep the emblem exactly how it should be, and maybe use maybe this material, or actually maybe this material, then that would be pretty awesome. But sadly, the way the material works, I pretty much have to not use a material for this version of the character. And now let's take a look at another version of Captain America. And next we have our friend Sam Wilson, who became Captain America at some point. I'm not sure if he's still Captain America or if he went back to being the Falcon. I have to admit, I haven't followed the storylines in the comics for quite some time. But here, this is about as close to the look I was able to get to our friend Sam Wilson as Captain America, at least with the chroma materials. If I wasn't using the material, I probably could use a different chest piece to get a bit closer to the look of the character, but within the context of DC Universe Online and with the chroma materials, this is about as close to the Captain America Sam Wilson version of the character as I was able to get. I'm curious to see what's going to happen in the movies. In the movies, they in Endgame, spoiler alert if you haven't seen Endgame, in Endgame they finally did it. They actually had Steve Rogers pass on the shield to Sam Wilson. Although in the context of the scene and how it happened, I'm not sure why he gave it to Sam Wilson as opposed to Bucky. I understand the creative reasons. They've been pushing for a black Captain America for at least 20 years. Pretty much ever since Joe Quesada was editor-in-chief at Marvel, they were pushing very hard to be able to get a black Captain America somehow. I'm not sure why it was so important to them for Captain America to be black, but somehow, after a lot of work, they finally did it. They had Sam Wilson become Captain America at some point, and now it seems they've done it in the movie as well. It would seem that Sam Wilson will be Captain America moving forward. And also, there's even a series on Netflix. Although the series on Netflix is called Falcon and Winter Soldiers, what I suspect maybe that's not quite the correct title for the series, because by now we know that the Falcon will actually be Captain America, and we've known for some time that the Winter Soldier is actually called the White Wolf now. So it's probably going to be more something like Captain America and the White Wolf in the Netflix TV series. Although I could be mistaken. Maybe the series will be Sam Wilson being the Falcon, and maybe the whole point of the series will be him trying to fill in the shoes of Captain America. So maybe we'll start the series still being Falcon, and by the end of the series will actually become Captain America. I guess we're gonna have to wait and see for that series. Actually, I'm mistaken. It's not going to be on Netflix. It's going to be on Disney Plus. Basically, now that Disney is going to start their own streaming services, so they're going to remove pretty much all their content from Netflix, and it's going to end up on Disney Plus. And the new projects that they're working on right now, they're working on as I mentioned, Falcon Winter Soldier series, but they're also working on Vision and Scarlet Witch series. They're working on a Loki series, a Black Widow series, a Hawkeye series, all of that for Disney Plus. So I guess we're gonna have to wait and see what happens with these. So let's take a look at what I used to create our friend Sam Wilson as Captain America. In this case, I cheated a bit. For the wings, I could not get the wings to look nice with the chroma material, so I just went with the first material. I'm using the blue metallic chroma 2, and I'm using the red metallic chroma 1. For the headpiece, I'm using the Defiant Crusader. For the face, I'm using the goggles. The shoulders, it is still the Spindrift shoulders. The back piece, I'm using the glittery wings. It gives us the biggest wings we can get. I guess the Wings of Sins would also be an option, but the Wings of Sins are way too difficult to get. I still don't have the final collection to be able to get the Wings of Sins, but the glittery wings were simple enough to get during the spring, the Valentine seasonal. For the chest piece, I went with the Stalwart Defender chest piece. I have a handful of videos about the Stalwart Defender chest piece, so if you really need to know how to get this chest piece, just search through my videos and search for Stalwart Defender. For the hands, the slimline gloves worked well enough. For the waist, a square buckle. The pants, again, the V-suit. And with the feet, I went with the prideful feet. It is a style that you can get from the Gotham Wasteland, if I recall correctly, from the vendor in the Gotham Wasteland, if you are a hero player. If you're a villain player, sadly you're going to have to purchase a style with a hero player. You're going to have to get the style of the hero player, and then use replay badges to purchase a style for your villain player. And again, the emblem, the Commander Steel emblem. And again, thanks to the Commander Steel emblem, you can come up with a pretty darn good looking Captain America shield in DC Universe Online. I wish there wasn't like this sort of black tint in the star, but what can you do? Again, within the context of DC Universe Online, sometimes you have to make compromises. And last but not least, during the early mid-90s, I forget, there was this event called Marvel vs. DC, where we had a lot of characters from the Marvel Universe fighting characters from the DC Universe, and eventually it gave us, at least for a short while, the Amalgam Universe, where it was pretty much a mixture of the Marvel character mixed with the DC characters. And in this case, we had Superman mixed with Captain America, and it gave us a character called Super Soldier. And this is within the context of DC Universe Online, as close to recruiting our friend Super Soldier as I could get, using the chroma materials. A lot of it, here you can see what the shield looks like using the chroma material on it. So in this case, it still keeps the Superman, like you can see what the Superman emblem looks like, and with the material it kind of changes what the emblem looks like. But thanks to it being mostly red, it still kind of works within the context of this character. So this is what the shield actually looks like with the chroma material. For the head, I went with the Defiant Crusader again. I had to use a face piece because if you don't use a face piece, I'll show you what happens. Sadly, without the face piece, this is what the character looks like. Sadly, the materials cover the entire style, and it covers the eyes of the character as well. Although in some cases, it still kind of works well enough, but in other cases, you pretty much have to cheat a bit. And here I've added the full domino mask on top in order to be able to have the eyes of the characters still. For the shoulder, the gloves, the belt, the pants, and the boots, it's pretty much all the same styles I already showed you. The one distinction here is the M suit, the chest piece. Ideally, I wish the black lines would be red. That would work a bit better for the style. But here, the point was to use the chroma material. So the compromise I made is that there's no red on the chest piece. And of course, for the emblem, I went with the Superman 80th anniversary emblem. Sadly, if you do not have this emblem already, you're gonna have to use something else as a substitute for the emblem. I guess in this case the star emblem would work well enough. Technically the star emblem is a better option for this look because the character actually had the Captain America star in his chest, but on the shield was pretty much shaped like a Superman emblem. Sadly, not really an option in this case, but what can you do? And that is pretty much it for our Captain America using the chroma materials. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask so in the comment section down below, and I'll see what I can do about answering your questions. So as always guys, thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.